Hello, and welcome to today's story from Masterpiece Theater. I'm your host, Martin Brock, and the subject of the story today is the Bradford family. Just kidding. I'm Martin Thomas Brock, and I wanted to present to you today some of my family lineage from the Bradford family. The information that I have in front of me starts 12 generations ago with Richard Bradford. It's been very interesting as I've gone through this, and I'm sure my siblings have had similar thoughts, thinking as I sit here on a Saturday afternoon, talking into my iPhone, where you feel a connection to your ancestries, to your namesakes, and then you're wondering, what made them tick? What were they doing on a Saturday afternoon? And hopefully Susan will give us some more of that information. I don't know. But it's been a fun, pretty quick process to look through this, but also reflect back on some of my family ancestry. If you don't mind, I'm going to refer to notes from time to time. This is my debut on my iPhone creation here. Richard Bradford lived 12 generations ago from my family. He was a loyal subject to the King of England. He was born in 1636 and died in 1716. The people that I'm going to be covering today are from the third and fourth generation from him, who would be Thomas Bradford and Thomas Bradford Jr., I guess, and then Martin Talloon Bradford, another one of my namesakes, and his son, who would be the seventh and the eighth generation removed from Richard. I just wanted to begin, I guess, with Thomas Sr. Thomas Sr. was born in 1699, and he lived to 1762. And we have record of him that he was born in Charles City, Virginia, and he was a landowner. We have real estate records that show he owned approximately 200 acres in the Charles City, Virginia area that he inherited from his father, Richard II. However, he and his two brothers, who were co-heirs to that land, sold their land and began a migration, I guess, which was popular at the time, to North Carolina. And we show that he died in 1762 in a town of Northampton, North Carolina. He was married to Elizabeth Smith in 1728. And I believe, as I was reading, one unique thing about Elizabeth is that she was a landowner as well. Or at least she had inherited some 100 acres or so from her father, which she later sold. That's an interesting thing. As Susan had mentioned, there just wasn't a whole lot of documentation on the women in the lineage. Okay, they had Thomas Jr. They actually had three children. They had Thomas Jr. in 1734. I don't have a lot of information. I assume that Thomas Sr. was a farmer, but it does say that, again, he was a loyal subject of the king, and then he fought in the French and Indian War. Wouldn't we love to hear more stories about his life during the French and Indian War, or the move from Virginia to North Carolina? Thomas Jr., born in 1734, the middle of three children. He died in 1779. And he was married to Mary Moore. Now, his dad, Thomas Sr., was married to Elizabeth Smith, and I had in my notes that Elizabeth Smith died a premature death, and Thomas Sr. married a Mary. And I don't know if the record is accurate here, that both Thomas Sr. and Thomas Jr. were married to Marys. Or maybe it's just me being confused. I don't know. But anyway, Thomas Jr. was married to Mary Moore. Thomas Sr. had 8 children, and he lived into his 80s. And I think that's awesome. A big family and a long, healthy life. Thomas Jr., married to Mary Moore. They had 5 children, and they had a migration that went from North Carolina down to South Carolina. And we do show record of them, and I have a copy of their 200 or so acre family plot in South Carolina.